Next category of event is exhibition. 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 Put a small dash and write down. Under the exhibition, put a small dash and write down.
सर हमारा मिस हो गया मैं कमिंग सर या
Put a small dash and write down.
माय कमिंग सर लेकिन क्या बोला
Fashion shows
exhibition के अंदर
yes, fashion shows is also the part of exhibition. Under the exhibition, put a small dash and write down fashion shows is also the part of exhibition. But here
फैशन शो
more focus is given on displaying. But here more focus is given on displaying the art and craft items. Make a full stop and write down the display of handicraft. Make a full stop and write down the display of handicraft and handloom items are also the part of exhibition.
the handicraft and
Handloom items are also the part of exhibitions. Now move on to the eighth type of the event. Now move on to the eighth type of the event. This eighth type is known as political events. Yes, this eighth type is known as approximately I think 16 subjects. The eighth type is known as the political events. Put a small dash and write down any press conferences conducted by the political parties. Any press conferences conducted by the political parties, comma, any rallies or protests, and especially election campaigns, are the part of such events, and especially political campaign are the part of such events. Put a full stop.
Hi Gayatri baby, how are you?
Yes, are the part of political events. Put a full stop and write down.
Such events you would tell us?
Are the part of political events. Put a full stop and write down.
part of political events.
Put a full stop and write down. Proper permit is required to be taken proper permit is required to be taken from the
proper permit
is required to be taken from the concerned authority and there should be involvement of public security agencies. There should be involvement of public security agencies. Now here, in order to conduct any political events, any kind of an rallies, as we have seen the kind of the rallies that took place yesterday only by the name of tractor rallies, proper permission has been taken from the concerned authority. Concerned authority means who has actually given them the permission for conducting such kind of a thing. It has been provided by the head of the Delhi police. Right. So after getting the approval, because the Supreme Court has given the responsibility to the Delhi police, and after that the Delhi police have taken that responsibility of conducting or providing the safe and secure environment for that kind of a peaceful rallies. But due to some, you can say that some miscreants, or maybe due to one element or the other unethical elements, that particular rally has taken a different type of inform. So here the meaning of saying you will have to take in proper permit or the approval from the concerned authority. And apart from that, here one particular word is also there. There is an involvement of public security agencies. Here public security agencies means here we are basically talking about the police people. Right. So next, write down. So write down the next. Who is this? Anybody having any idea? Okay. It was by mistake. Yes. So write down. He has already taken the responsibility, so there is no need of removing that candidate. So no problem. Write down. No problem. Write down the next type, that is religious event. Next type. Yes, religious event. That is religious event. Make a small dash, write down. There are various types of religious event like Kumbh Fest. There are various types of religious events like Kumbh Fest. Yes, comma, Ganpati Visarjan, comma, Saraswati Puja, Ganpati Visarjan, comma, Saraswati Puja, comma, Muharram, comma, Eid, etc. Muharram, comma, Eid, etc. Full stop. Generally these events require the use of public street, the use of public street, STRWT.
सर ये इवेंट मैनेजमेंट कंपनी का आती है.
Yes, this all the things will be done by the event management company on a very big scale. And even if you want to start your own rally on a huge scale, then for that also the proper protections will be actually provided by the concerned authority, state police people. Reason being why? Because they want to take extra precautions, like the sentiment of one community should not harm the sentiment of others, in order to avoid any kind of a riot-based situations to occur, right? So, what you have written?
The event required the use of public street.
Event required the use of public street, and for that public street, and for that there is probability for some inconvenience. There is probability for some inconvenience to occur for common public. Put a full stop. In order to avoid this, the people are given information through print media and through other networking channels also. In fact, there are some fest. If you talk about the Kumbh Fest, there is direct involvement of the state machinery into it. Why? Why the state government directly take an interest in conducting such kind of an event? Why there is a need for the state government to directly involved into such kind of an event? Why the state government take an interest? Likewise, if you go to Maharashtra, in Maharashtra also that Ganpati Visarjan or the Ganesh Chaturthi is generally being celebrated for how many days? There, yes, approximately around 7 days. Right? So, why you can say that the state machinery or the state government is too much interested in organizing such events on a large scale?
Sir, because it is the
one by one, yes, because it is.
Sir, particular state ka famous festival kind of
Security reasons.
No.
Sir, it is one of the largest fest that happens in Asia.
No, it is not even like that.
in the world.
Why the government is interested?
Sir, for production of people.
For?
Production of people.
No, not for production. Yes, just hold on. Yes. In order to get the clearance, yes, it is. Okay, fine. Because directly, indirectly, there is some economic benefit associated with conducting such events. Economic activities means wherever, even for the short duration, such events is basically conducted. Most of the people around that particular area or maybe the vicinity of that particular area get an employment opportunity. Tourism is obviously the part of it. Yes, and it is not only the Indian or the domestic travelers, they generally go to visit such area, but in such a huge platform, most of the foreign travelers also do take participate. Right, so there are so many economic activities which like generally goes on side by side, and most of any kind of a government are much more interested in conducting any kind of an event which give them the profitability in terms of an economy, in terms of a monetary benefit. Yes, please write down the next type, that is the 10th type, that is award ceremonies. 10th type is award ceremonies. Put a full stop and write down film fair shows. Put a small dash, fair shows or awards and different types of awards celebrated in a calendar year are the part of such event. Filmfare shows or awards and different types of awards which are celebrated by the government agencies on a particular calendar year is generally comes under this. Write down the next.
Sir, by celebrated in a calendar year.
Here is the
Celebrated by
Celebrated in a calendar year is
celebrated by
that see, if you will ask me the sentence 10 times, there will basically come up 10 different sentences. So basically here the thing is, yes, basically here the thing is the different type of the award ceremonies that is being conducted by the government on a one particular calendar year are the part of this award ceremony. Now write down in your own words wherever you have got stuck.
conducted
by the government.
In a particular calendar year are the part of such event.
so next
Next write down next type of an event. I think it is the 11th one.
yes
It is called annual meet. It is called annual meet.
Sir, दोबारा बोलो एक बार.
Annual meeting.
This is the 11th type. It is called annual meet. MEET meet.
होली क्या था सर?
Annual meet.
सर होली क्या था?
This is a very big event. Basically, this can also be considered as the part of the corporate event. First, write down some of the examples and then I will explain you in detail. Put a small dash and write down shareholders meet. Under the annual meet, write down shareholders meet, comma, annual general meeting, annual general meeting, annual general meeting, and board meetings are the part of such event. Board meetings are the part of such events. Put a small dash. Again repeating. It is shareholders meet, comma, annual general meeting and board meetings are the part of such meet. Put a full stop and write down these meetings are also to be considered as the part of the corporate event. These meetings are also to be considered as the part of the corporate event. Now, what is shareholders meeting? What exactly it is? Shareholders meetings means what? Yes.
So the company of the shareholders meet once in a year.
No, but yes, obviously, not only once in a year, maybe sometimes depending upon situation to situations, they keep on getting like organize the meeting also. So why this? What is basically shareholders? Who are the shareholders basically?
So the people who have shares of the company.
Like examples.
So
Like if you talk about there is a company, right? Like for example, talk about there is a company by the name of Reliance Industry. Like by giving an examples, who would be the shareholders? Yes, Anubhav. Who would be the shareholder for that Reliance Industry?
So जिन्होंने उसका पूरी shareholder लेके हुए हैं.
sir, a part of the company.
Like examples I am talking about.
Sir, for example, कोई भी हो सकता है सर, मुकेश अंबानी होगा सर.
See,
So there is one person
yes,
that
yes. Yes, let me to give you a brief idea. Yes, let me to give you a brief. Fine. You have enough knowledge. Fine, it is. Just for the time being, kindly don't try to discuss among yourselves. Just for the time being, keep your knowledge aside for a few minutes, please. Because these things will not be there. Because I have been just to lessen your burden of writing, I have been giving you very brief notes. But in exam, if you are not going to write down the whole points, then in that scenario, whichever, like if you in the 14 marks questions, if you are going to write down 10 points only, so that particular 10 points has to be discussed, explained in detail. Right? If you are not going to write down all the 16 different types of an events, and if you are going to attempting the same questions, and there you have been attempting only 10 points, so that 10 points has to be explained in detail. If you are going to write down in the same way as I have given in the brief, then it will not help you out. So that's why I have been sharing some extra information which you would be requiring while writing that thing in detail. So here the first term is very important, that is the shareholders. We must, after reaching at this particular level, you must have to have a very basic idea like what all the peoples are basically involved in any company. That's why I have picked one of the best company, which is supposed to be comes under the in terms of a market share, you can consider it to be comes under the second position. And the first position is of TCS. TCS stands for Tata Consultancy. Excellent. That is very good. Very good corporate knowledge is having. That is called Tata Consultancy Services. It is supposed to be considered as the topmost, one of the, you can say that around the world. If we are going to talk about around the world, it's supposed to be comes under the number one IT company of here India. Right? So, can you name some other also IT companies?
Infosys.
Excellent. And
Wipro.
excellent. And yes,
HCL
Technologies. Very good. So these are just imagine, these are some of the Indian companies. Their promoters are the Indians. And these are some of the companies which are not only listed in our India Sensex and Nifty, they are also listed in abroad. These are some of the companies which are not only giving employment to the Indian peoples, these are the companies who are giving employment to the foreign nationals. And most of the European networks, all the technology based things are basically covered by these 4 to 5 names only. Right? So now actually I was talking about the shareholding patterns. If you talk about the shareholding patterns, generally there are few things, there are few terms you must be aware about. One is the promoters. Promoters means the people who have actually started that company. that is, those are known as the promoters. Generally, for any company, the number of the promoters would be, the share of the promoters would be high. And it is a norm, like if the number of promoters would be more than 51%, then then that particular company belongs to that group only, right? Apart from the promoters, there will be FII. FII stands for Foreign Institutional Investors. They are the foreign peoples who are having the stake on that company. And if you talk about this TCS and Infosys, 40% of the TCS and Infosys is actually being acquired by the foreign peoples. Next is DII. DII stands for Domestic Institutional Investors, right? And next is HNI. HNI stands for High Net Worth Individuals, those who are very, very rich people. And last, very least, very small segments, not, you can say that more than 2%, 3% in regard to the share of that company that belong to retail investors. So here, if we have been talking about the shareholding patterns, so first is the promoters, second is FII, DII, HNI, and the retail investors. Right? When we talk about the shareholding pattern, generally the retail investors are not supposed to be get counted. So this particular meeting is basically in regard to the promoters and the major shareholders. Major shareholders means HNI will be there, FII will be there, DII will be there. Right? So that's why when we talk about the corporate level meetings, this particular meeting is supposed to be considered at the peak level, top level, in terms of quality of service, in terms of arranging all the things. Clear?
Yes, sir. Sir, attendance.
No? Time is over.
Sir, 3 बज तक है।
3 बज तक है ना?
सर 5 मिनट
कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. Don't be worry about that. It is 3:25. Enough time is there with us. Yes. Write down the next.
What time is 3 बज तक है?
Sorry, no. Trade fairs. Write down the next trade fairs. Trade fairs. TRAD. Trade fairs. Here write down trade fairs. Such kind of fairs, trade fairs, such kind of fairs are organized. Such kind of fairs are organized. Today we are going to finish off this question. Enough time is there with us. Such kind of fairs are organized to display art and crafts, comma, to display arts and crafts, comma, industrial products, comma, agricultural products, etc., comma, agricultural products, etc. Suraj Kund, etc. Suraj Kund Fest and Lucknow Mahotsav. Suraj Kund Fest and Lucknow Mahotsav are example of trade fairs. Lucknow Mahotsav are example of trade fairs. Now moving to the 14th one. 14th one. 14th type. Yes, sorry. It is 13th one. It is trade shows or expo. It is trade shows or expo. Or expo, EXPO. Yes, very good example. Auto Expo is one of the example of this. So put a small dash International Trade Fair and Auto Expo. International Trade Fair and Auto Expo, comma, including Ahar Fest, including Ahar. It is basically the fest related to the hospitality industry. Ahar. Ahar means which is related to the food. AAHAR. Ahar. AAHAR. Ahar Fest.
Ahar Fest.
Yes, are examples of such event.
Such
Event. Put a full stop and continue.
Next.
Here the participating companies acquire the stall in the venue of the event. Acquire stall in the venue of the event and display their product. Put a full stop. Initially for few days, such fest remain open. Initially for few days, such fest remain open for the business community only. Open for the business community only. And at the later stage, it is open for the public. At the initial first phase, it is open for the, you can say that the business community, and for the later stage, it is open for the general public. Put a full stop, last sentence. Sometimes in order to implement the crowd control measure, entry fees are charged. Yes. Now, yes. Moving to the yes. Some of you were actually asking me about what is Ahar, right? Ahar basically, Ahar is basically, the word Ahar is basically directly come from the Hindi word which means Ahar only, which means related to food only. So this particular Ahar fest is basically for our hospitality professionals only. So what kind of things generally you will find in the Ahar? You will find the different types of beverages. If you talk about the different types of the wine, different types of the whiskeys which the company wants to launch, that also you will find. There you will also find a platform where most of the chefs from the hotels participates in the competitions. So maybe in front of you, you are also going to see some of the chefs from XYZ hotels, some of the chefs from the another XYZ hotels. They have been participating in the competitions. So they also create a kind of a competitions platform where not the students directly saying, Basically, that competition is related to the people who are actually working in the industry as a chef. So there you will get an opportunity to see that kind of an competition. Along with that, wine tasting, cheese tastings, and different varieties of the chocolates which are there in the market, that also you will see. And not the least is the different equipments which are used in the industry. Right? So there you will also see the different equipments which is related to the bakery, which is related to the main kitchen, which is related to the Chinese kind of thing. So that's why, that is the reason. Like initially for few days, at least for a week, that particular kind of a trade fair or the expo is basically remain closed for the common public. It generally opens only for the industrial peoples. Industrial peoples means you can just understand, like if you talk about the barbecue nation. So in the barbecue nation, they must be having a team which would be called as BDM. BDM stands for Business Development Members. Their prime responsibility is to expand the barbecue nation throughout the whole India, including the abroad. So they generally visit such kind of places. Why? Because by visiting such kind of places, they will come across to know which all the different equipments are available in the market, what all the vendors are available in the market who can directly be provide those, and you can say that the kitchen equipments directly to them at a very reasonable price, right? So that's why, that is the reason initially it remains open for the business people, business community. And why? In order to have B2B. What is B2B and B2C? You must have heard this word while taking your, I think, retail or maybe sales and marketing class. There is a very common concept when we say B2B and B2C.
Business to business, business to customer.
Like, can you explain this term?
Business to customer.
Excellent example. Can you give me an idea like which one is B2B kind of a website, which one is B2C website?
Sir, B2C is like normally businesses.
Can you give me a specific example by specifying the name of that website?
Sir, Amazon.
Amazon is what? B2B, B2C?
B2C.
B2C. And which one is B2B then?
Sir, Infosys.
No, it is Indian Mart. If you will see India Mart is B2B. B2B means where if I am going to place an order for one particular thing, one single item, they will not take my order directly. They are going to give me in bulk only, right? So wherever you are getting, yes, wherever you are getting directly the bulk, yes, okay, fine. Wherever we are getting directly business to business, that is called B2B. And where the business is directly interacting with the customer, that is called B2C. No, that is different.
What chain?
That is different. That is the chain. That is the chain. That is the chain of retail. Right? In India, there are two companies. Okay.
Sir, in India, there are companies.
Yes, Anubhav, keep it inside your pocket, please. In India, there is a company by the name of Flipkart. Flipkart is owned by. This is a GK question. Flipkart is owned by. Yes. Flipkart is. There is no use. Information there in book, not there in my mind, no use. That is not going to help you out. Things which is not there in your mind. Yes, that Vinny Bansal and the two brothers are basically the people who had actually started this concept. But earlier it was sold out to Walmart. Right now the owner is the Walmart.
Sir, Walmart का अलग है, sir, Flipkart अलग है.
Right now you are not listening to me. Right now the Flipkart is owned by Walmart. Right? Somebody has started WhatsApp, but right now it is
Mark Zuckerberg.
Right. What is the name of that company who has acquired it? Facebook. So earlier it would be called as WhatsApp, but now it is Facebook. I will give you a very strange story in regard to this. 10 minutes are there. I will give you. Don't worry about the timing. I'm looking after the timing. Don't worry. Yes, yes. Charity. Write down charity object fundraising. 14. I will make you write down 16. Charity object fundraising event. Charity object fundraising event. Charity object fundraising event. Put a small dash and write down. Most of the NGO stands for
Non-governmental.
excellent. Most of the NGOs like Red Cross, HelpAge India, HelpAge India, Red Cross, HelpAge India, conduct the charity-based programs. HelpAge India, conduct the charity-based program in order to get the financial support. In order to get the financial support for the society. Full stop. For the society. Full stop. These events are organized. These events are organized keeping a low budget and in the form of social service only. Keeping the low budget and in the form of social service only. Now, last two. Last to write down 15th number cultural events. Last to write down 15th number cultural event.
The last one.
Just write down cultural event, put a small dash and write down any musical events. Any musical events or stage shows. Any musical events or stage shows in order to spread the essence of our culture, in order to spread the essence of our culture, falls under this category. In order to spread the essence of our culture, falls under this category.
In order to spread the
Essence of our culture, ESSENC, essence of our cultures fall under this category. Last job fair. So this after this job fair. Put a small dash. This is basically organized. By the universities and college. This is basically organized by the universities and college in collaboration with in collaborations with the corporate world in order to provide with the corporate world in order to provide better internship and placement platform.